in the coming months could lead to accelerating drop in values. So as Fed's Bowman, again, really focused on the Labour part of the mandate in keeping with what we've seen from the Fed statement itself. She did support 25 basis point reduction. She doesn't signal how many further cuts she sees ahead, but she is worried about the labour market weakness and says that policy may need to adjust faster if risks materialise.
Very good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the online trading webinar for futures market. Hope everybody's doing well. Just had some comments from Bowman there, pretty dovish. So we'll be going through everything. Hey, Carolyn, Ryan, Nadjam, good to see you. You're hot desking again today, Carolyn, I can see. Kitchen and elsewhere. Did you hit R1 target yesterday on the NASDAQ? I think you got quite close.
Just for the Hungarian foreign watchers, the central bank now just delivering its post-meeting statement after keeping rates unchanged. It says it's maintaining tight monetary conditions. It's warranted. A careful and patient approach to policy remains necessary.
Hey, Nadjam. We were rooting for you yesterday, Carolyn. Nadjam and I were looking at the NASDAQ trying to push it up.
Forecast, it says the baseline scenario in the projections is surrounded by mostly upside risk to inflation and downside risks to growth. Sees inflation remaining above target through the end of the year.
Folks, let's get stuck into the analysis. Right, a few things to cover. It's kind of a few things to cover and there's not a lot to cover. It's a bit weird. So we've had the European PMIs. That surprise. Yes, nice, Carolyn. Well done. That's good. Great stuff for you. We had the European PMIs. Now, originally, the euro was hit on that weak French data, but it was offset with the German data. You see how the composite look into expansionary territory healthily and the services above maximum expectations. The manufacturing was lower, so mixed prints, but on balance, composite expansionary, services expansionary, manufacturing still not quite an expansionary, but there's nothing massively there to disrupt the euro. It's largely driven by rate differentials between the Fed. Hey Brian, good to see you. Largely differences between the Fed and the ECB. So euro dollar medium term bias still makes sense. Now, yesterday we had some hawkish speakers come out, Barkin, Hammack, Mirren, all from the Fed, all stressing the inflation tariff worries and, don't want to be cutting interest rates too soon. We've now had Goolsbee and Bowman's just been speaking. Goolsbee and Bowman are more dovish. Bowman has basically just said, she's said policy could need to adjust further if risk materialise. She backed a 25 basis point cut last Fed meeting, but she didn't back a 50 basis points. But she said businesses could begin laying off people if demand conditions don't improve. She's worried the Fed is behind the curve on labour market weakness, and she's downplaying inflation worries. Now, I feel that I'm with Bowman. I think she's looking at inflation in the right way, and I don't see the inflation worry in the same way. Now, I know that there's concern that it's going to be pushing up, and we saw what the Fed projected, didn't we? Do you remember? In a sense, that was, let's just see it so we can see it with our own eyes, right? This is what the Fed projected, and this was sort of the concern, is they've essentially said their preferred measure of inflation, we don't see it in 2% to 2028, right? But then look at what Trueflation says. Trueflation has it at 2.09% now. Do you see? So I'm thinking that inflation doesn't seem to be the concern that the Fed think it is. Now, obviously, is this correct? This is meant to be thousands of live pricing. So it's meant to be reliable, of course, and that may not be the outlook. But for me, I'm thinking, well, based on Friday, we've got the PCE print coming out. Look, core reading expected to come in at 2.9%. Like in the low is 2.5. So what happens if that starts coming in towards the lower end? We could see further dollar weakness essentially. So I'm sort of in that camp, if you like, and I'm looking for further dollar weakness, and that's been impacting sort of the trades I've been taking. Now, obviously, we have to be led by the data, not by our hunches, of course. But that's where I'm at in terms of where I think inflation is. So the sentiment today is, we're waiting for that PCE on Friday, which I think is going to be very important potentially. We've had the European data. We've got some S&P global composite PMIs, not massively important. Okay, it's not the ISM data. And then we've got Powell speaking at 5:35. So we've got some data out today. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, exactly, Nadia. I'm just waiting for that kind of data. And I think broadly speaking, we're waiting for the next leg of everything. You look at the dollar, what's it done? It's where is it? It's pull back, waiting. So it kind of you sense that dynamics going on. We may not get much moves out of the dollar today.
Watches the central bank's governor says forward guidance unchanged.
So the next thing to be looking at is Powell speaking later on and the data coming out at 2:45. So that's where we're at. Now, in terms of the trades I've got running, just run through them with you. So Oracle pushing up nicely yesterday, and I've just moved my stops now to break even. Strong, see that strong breakout? So I've just got my stops at break even just around 301, right? I think, I don't want that coming back down again. I want this pushing up. Ultimately, if I could get up to that 395, whatever, that would be the measured target. So Oracle nicely in profit and just moving that to break even. Euro dollar again. Now, if you look here, you got that bullish engulfing bar. Do you see here on the daily chart? It's hang on, where are we? That's it. You see the bar, a swing point, bullish engulf that level here. We're finding support on the pivot point. So I've just brought that up, swing point underneath that 22. Because if it goes back down, I'll consider re-entering on a positive price action signal. Otherwise, I don't want that to go against me. So I've got that just around break even as well for the euro dollar. And the other trade I've got running on is the United Health Group. Where is it? Let me just try and find that. Now, if you look at this, we were looking at this double bottom from yesterday, remember? And we've got that very strong seasonal pattern. Let me just show you that. Coming up into a beautiful little pattern. I think it's like 100% the next 10 years from here up to early November. Yeah, 90. Great, lovely. Average return 7.26%. It's also a nice defensive play. So if there's any concerns about like the overall outlook for the US economy, then great. And we've got this, there's the trough here. Right, so the bottom within a 5%, just about, maybe just over the 5%. We've got the whole thing needs to be a 10% from peak to trough should be 10%. It's like 30%. That should be within 5%. And then you've got a 70% measured target. So I'm looking up to 420. So that's where I'm going there. And I've got the stops, just running the other side of this position really. Got in here. All right. It's going to go up to 420 there. Just got the stops on the other side of that gap. There we go. 212. And you can trade bonds there as well, you see. The thing I like about it is you can trade so many different instruments. There's a link there. Let's have a look. Now, the spread isn't going to be great, so bear that in mind. But I'm looking to swing trade often, so I'm not worried about losing a pip or two. It's just convenient, and you can use it for your stocks ISA and a cash ISA. You can put it all in one place, and you can access quick money market funds, Ryan, as well. So with your cash portion of your deposit, you can earn interest on it, and it's about 4%, something like that now. So if you haven't got a position in cash, it's about 4% on the interest. So that's not bad. Every day, at least so it's always making money for you. Okay, and it's FCA regulated, which is the most important thing. So if they go under, then you're guaranteed to get the bonus. You have to watch, not all their instruments and all the products they trade are FCA protected. So you have to just look at the terms and conditions. Some products are not FCA protected. And I think if you're accessing a quick money market fund, it may not be FCA protected. It's better than that, but just be careful, Ryan. So if you use a quick money market fund to earn interest on your deposit, I don't think that portion is FCA regulated. My logic is, look, if I start to see problems in the quick money market funds, I'll probably be one of the first people to get wind of it sort of a little bit quicker than Main Street. So I'll be able to just pull it out, and as long as you've got 24 hours notice, you can pull it out. So that's just the health warning with it. Interestingly, I met the guy, the founder of it. I met him in London when I was doing an interview for CNBC Arabia. I was at their CNBC offices, and doing an interview for CNBC Arabia, and he was also in the green room, the bit you go in before the interview. And I also met, there was a lady, I can't remember what her name was, but she took a speeding fine for her husband, and she lost her job, I think, as an MP. I can't remember her name now. Yeah, Aslan, I'm not sure. I would have thought it would be at least taxable on the 21% or 20% for the corporation tax, but you have to check it. A certain percentage won't be, I think, but I'm not sure on the tax. You have to check it out with an accountant. I'll do a quick Google search and so on. Yeah, I met her in the green room as well. It was quite funny. She was very nice. She was very nice. She was a very nice lady, and I was just having a nice little chat. We were having a nice little sort of chat with her, and I just really started doing some of the media interviews, and she was sort of very, friendly and sort of reassuring. So it was nice. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, good work, guys. Now, this other thing with United Health, what I like about this here is you got this bullish engulfing bar. It's that bullish engulfing bar from the support level. So you got that nice support level, and you got a bullish engulfing bar trying to push up. So that's trying to move up into the right direction. And then I've got a target around 420 region. Now, I also, after this today, with that very weak, the UK data was very poor. And I do think, if you think about it, the ECB have finished cutting interest rates. The UK is about to start. So there really should be a good reason to buy the euro pound, right? I do see it. And I'm wanting to get an excuse for, let's just get rid of that. Let's keep the pivots. I think the yield spread's pretty flat at the moment, but notice trend line across the top, right? It has you see it's broken out of that near-term trend line. You got a weekly engulfing bar. If I can get something back down here that makes sense price action wise, great. So I'm looking to buy in the euro pound if I can. I've also just recognized in the dollar yen, where is it? Let me show you. Let me just get over to it. Right, we'll just look at it here on the dollar chart. Do you see this? That rejection of 148, you can't ignore that. And the rejection of that trend line here. And you got a sort of a bearish engulfing bar, a bearish hammer reversal. It's small, but nevertheless. Now I know on the weekly chart, I'm happy to sell in from 149, right? But I've also sold in here at this level, right? Just because if there's more dollar weakness coming in, that rejection of 148 means, okay, I want to get in that and potentially see if this can move lower. So there we are, right? Gold, silver, copper continue to push higher on that weak dollar story, and there's news of China buying more gold. So gold is just relentlessly carrying on. Now, looking at the futures stuff and the outlook for the futures, we can see we're just moving higher, 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 right? Everything is moving up. It's a strong bullish trend. So we're expecting to be potentially buying. We're opening up above the value area high from yesterday, but we're stuck in the Globex open range from the value area high and the value area low. We're up above the value area high from yesterday, so any deep dips expecting buyers. Now looking at the chart, you can see we're flat, we're just moving sideways. Delta is building and has been negative for most of the European morning. It is building slowly higher. So if you look at the 15-minute chart, we're opening up inside the balance of yesterday. So the Globex open is above, we're inside the balance. But any pullback to that sort of 6,740, 6,735 region, I really do like for buying. So I'm happy to buy from the deeper dips down. That's what I'm going to be looking for. And or whether we get above to carry on. So it's a breakout and continuation, or it's a drop lower. Maybe consider some shorts down to the 6,735. But really I want to be buying in from that 6,735 region. That's what I'll be very attracted to do. So we'll see where we get when we get to the open. For now, on the 15-minute chart, we've got some buyers just getting trapped up there. So there's a little bit of pressure to the downside. And on the 15-minute, you can see that the delta is still negative. So you've got some sellers trapping some buyers, but we're stuck in this range. We're just in this no man's land. You're at the point of control, just sliding in at the 6,752. There's no implied volatility levels to really know. The next one down below is this 6-7 odd area, so a long way to go for that. So just see where we get from the open and just see if we get anything obvious. At the moment, we're just sort of stuck in this balance from yesterday. So happy to buy in from any deep dips. Otherwise, just waiting. Probably gonna have to wait for the data at 2:45 before we get something. So I'll be back for the open, folks. But that's it for now. And see you in a few minutes. See you, folks. All right, folks, I'm going to call it a day here. I will look into this if in the next sort of hour or so I get down to the 3.5 to the 3.5. But for now, just going to leave it. Yeah, cheers, Ryan. Sleepy day, folks. See you tomorrow, guys.